if I'm struggling with depression, if I don't really believe in myself, if I can't create the world that the best of me, my heart longs for, if I'm still numb, if I can't bring myself any joy in the world, if I feel my life is pointless, if I don't know the meaning of who I am, if I don't have spiritual connection or soulful connection, for me, those are all signs that it's time to go inwards and to step away from my worldly effort and start attending to my soul and my being and my deeper meaning and point of being in this world. And it's time for me to know inside out who I am so I can bring the best of myself forward. To pull myself out the shadows, find all the parts of me that aren't happy or that are depressed or that are violent or that are shadowy or numb, to find all of those parts and from the heart of my king to tend to myself so that I can bring myself to health and happiness.
And there's so many men, that is, that sense of unhappiness, that quiet, someone said it to me recently, the man I was speaking to about coaching. He put it so profoundly, and I'm literally in my mind's eye, I can see where I wrote it on my pad, and it was something on the lines of, as a man, you learn not to struggle, obviously, but underneath there's a quiet struggle, there's a quiet unhappiness that just is there on the surface. You got a decent job, you have a marriage, maybe you have relationships, maybe you are accomplished as women, but underneath exists a quiet unhappiness, a quiet emptiness that we've learned to hide from the world. So it never looks obviously to anyone that we are unhappy or we are in desperation. And like even saying that, connecting to what you said, it kind of links to something that flashed up actually on my Instagram feed, I think it was, where it was basically saying that, mental health issues or even men at the point of suicide, it just looks different to maybe it does for women. And we need to learn more about what it looks like for actually a man who's really struggling.
We do, and so many men are hiding their struggle in the shadows. To be in Too Little King, where I don't believe in myself, I'm feeling a bit depressed, I don't think anything's ever going to work for me. I've got lots of fear, and while I'm in that place, I'm also constantly attacked by my self-critic who's going, "You're shit, you're never going to make it, you're always going to be awful." It's a painful place to be. It's a really painful place to be. It's more than just emptiness. It's actually painful. And my passion is to support men out of that pain so that we can live a love of life and joy, starting with self-love, because I've found it's not possible for me to love the world if I don't love myself. So starting with self-love and self-care and self-healing, tending to myself first and turning that same beautiful energy to support other men and bring it to the world. Oh, I have the greatest sadness for the suffering of men. It's massive. We've seen all the figures around suicide and mental health. It's massive. And us men are here to help each other. And I'm so grateful that I see other men like you, David, who are doing this work and helping men, because men need it.
They do. And it's just a shame to see that, so many men turn in maybe the wrong direction. They are experiencing many of the things you mentioned there, the sadness, the loneliness, the feeling of not being good enough, the feeling of helplessness, the feelings of not being able to be successful. And then they turn towards people who promise them success in a way that's often demeaning and belittling of other people, other races, other what's the word I'm looking for? Other segments of society, often almost in particular women. It's, we're fresh off the back of Lou Ferrou's documentary about the manosphere. And it's, I imagine, before I ask you a question about that, it's like I imagine, he was saying that there was a suspicion about the work in the early years. And I experienced that, but I was in the kind of slightly different era of, working in and learning about kind of women and dating. And it was always just suspicious. And even up to 5 or 6 years ago, talking about dating, it was always met with suspicion of manipulation.
Yeah.
But now we have this other side of this offering of taking men in a direction. We have, the work of men's work. And then we have the kind of manosphere, which is a type of men's work, which isn't necessarily healthy in any way. It's a very unhealthy type of men's work, but it's directing men towards the kind of superficial success that we all crave, the money, the women, the cars, and so forth, and how that takes vulnerable young men and older men. It's not just young men in there. Vulnerable men who are struggling, who are seeking success, who want to feel worth and value, but they seek it in a way that has to push others down.
It's sad. It's going backwards. That's a particular way of men trying to achieve happiness that's going backwards, and that's going to old ways. And we just need to look around us. The old ways haven't worked. The old ways are done. It's not about us men walking over anyone else to get what we want. It's about us working together. It's the time for us all to work together in support, in equality, in love and care for each other, and to bring every one of us forward without hurting anyone else. It's not that hard to do. It really isn't. It's not that hard to do, and it's our responsibility. No one can change this for us. It's up to us men to do. So for those of us in our hearts, it's up to us to lead other men home to their hearts. And I've noticed that every man who really finds his heart never ever wants to go back to that old way of being, which was much more around dominating others to get what we needed.